The year 1983. My attempt at digital nomad life. Living in a sketchy party flat with random flatmates. And surviving on whatever part-time gigs I could scrape together. This was my first time traveling solo. But the last time I with a group. I would attempt digital nomad life down under. I had no idea what I was doing or getting myself into.
Hey, welcome back, Nomads. So I had decided to try nomad life when all my friends had decided to go to college, and I just took off, and I had saved about $500. And when I arrived in Auckland, New Zealand, initially it was culture shock. Now, I had only brought my backpack, or I guess they call it a rucksack, and a camera. And initially, I just wanted to get my bearings around Auckland. So I had taken a shuttle from the airport and got to downtown Auckland and found a flat with a person who I'd gone over there with. She and I had decided to travel together initially. But when we got there, after about 1 week, she had ditched me for a guy. So one of the first things that I did after I went and put my $500 that I brought over there in 1983, and I guess starting wage was $2.75 per hour. So basically what I did was we had gotten this flat and it was like $25 or $30 a week. It was really cheap, and I had lived there with her, like I said, for like my friend for about a week or something like that, and she moved out immediately. So here I am living all by myself. And I decided to go get a job. It was at this place called The Bar. And I was getting up at like 5 a.m. to do dishes and stuff like that. I initially started out in the kitchen, but eventually I went and worked at, I was like a bartender for just slinging beer and stuff like that, bartending. And it was really a kind of a neat job. So basically I had my camera, I had my flat, I had my new job, which I was making $2.75 per hour, and I'd go to my job every single day and just walk there. It was only like a mile down to right by the port right there, and that's where I met another friend of mine who actually became a lifelong friend. So after about the first month, I was really getting settled in. My friend that I'd went over with, she moved in with this guy. She met a Kiwi, and so I was working a lot, and I met this other friend who was working at The Bar, and her and I became really good friends. And after I'd been in this flat for a while by myself, basically, and I was having people over all the time, I mean, having parties, etc. And so my friend from The Bar, her and I ended up moving together. Now, she was actually a real Kiwi. So I got to know a lot of her friends. We went out a lot after work. There was this place we used to go to and get these burgers. It was called the Queen Burgers. And so I was taking a lot of pictures and just having a great time. I was really getting to know a lot of the area around Auckland, New Zealand. And the trip was about halfway over of my 6 months, and I still had the $500 in the bank. So my friend who I'd met from New Zealand, her and I decided to take a hitchhiking trip around New Zealand, and we had gotten picked up by so many cool and different people. There was one they called the USA, the Yanks, and he had a Harley in the back of his pickup truck, and so we got a long ride with him. But we were actually able to stay in all sorts of spots all around New Zealand, and since she knows a lot of the areas to go to, because they speak English in New Zealand, I really didn't have to learn any other language, and really I packed so light. I had only brought so many things to fit in my backpack. So basically, like I had stated earlier, I had a camera, I had my passport and my wallet and the money that was still in the bank, and I was earning money while I was going. So at my $2.75 rate per hour, basically I was making enough to pay for the flat, and my friend, her and I ended up moving together. So the initial flat that I was living in, that one I had only been in probably for a couple months, and then I moved in with my friend who was from New Zealand, and that's when the parties really started. Now this would have been like summer, midsummer, like 1983. and we were just having so many people over to our flat and constantly partying, staying up late, getting up to go to work, and it was just around the clock, just craziness. I learned so much about doing this trip on my own, just taking off and having so little that I went over there with, and meeting a lifelong friend who we kept in contact with throughout our whole lives.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please?
Being able to travel all around New Zealand with a local was great. And even though I didn't really use it to what I intended to as being a digital nomad at that time, what I did learn about myself was my independence and my resiliency, learning about different cultures. Basically, I was able to go to so many cultural things with my friend in New Zealand and try different foods, and basically the people that I met, it was something that changed me forever and helped me throughout my life too. And right around the time, it would have been September, and I would have had to leave, and my friends who I'd met, and actually the friend that I had went over with, had all given me a going away party. It was so cool, and it was just really neat to see that all come together, the 6 months that I'd been there and learning everything that I had done, and the jobs and the traveling.
Yes, I did spend 6 months in New Zealand, and it was a blast. I had a great time. When I came back, I did go back to school. I finished my degree, and I ended up writing treatment plans and policy and procedure, which was still pretty cool anyway. And I didn't quite go home after New Zealand. I ended up spending some time in Fiji, which will come up in the next video. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.